Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup. Today we have Overcome going against Vicinal, with Overcome playing Ghostface first in the Lyris Memorial Institute, and Vicinal, of course, playing Survivor. This is match one of set number one. And today I have with me Dark Mooney for co-casting. And Dark, what do you think? What do you think we're gonna see this match?
First things I'm seeing is a pretty stereotypical add-on thing with Olsen's wallet and drop leg sheath. And we also see Ruin Pinty, which has been something that's been showing up a lot more commonly in more recent times. So I think we're going to see a more aggressive playstyle, especially with that sloppy and pain res. And I think with that early stalk, he's already setting himself up great for later on in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Getting a stock at this point on Ace of basically 99, that is a great start for Proxer playing Ghostface here. And he's kind of looking around, trying to see if he can find someone else, but surprised that he hasn't. And also, something to point out is that he does not have um, Corrupt Intervention, which is not very typical for this for comp. In comp, Corrupt is very common. It's something that's kind of a staple. But deciding not to do that, and now he
And he
gets
does
Ace
get the
all the
stalk.
way. Wow, I don't think he meant to get him all the way 100%. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
almost gets
that
the
the free
grab
hit.
there. Yeah, and now he's gonna have to, I guess, leave Ace because Ace is just gonna go, probably hide or play safe. But at least we get the first chase onto Lara.
And getting the only drop on that pallet, which is really good for Ghosty. And he doesn't commit this, probably knowing that his pressure is better spent elsewhere. Something that I am kind of curious to see is without Corrupt, how else is he going to build up that early game pressure? And I think he's kind of messed up a bit, if I'm being completely honest, with that accidental expose on Ace, costing him that only stock he had built up.
Yeah, it's true. I'm surprised that he left Lara as well, being that Lara was already injured. Now, of course, the with this add-on of Olsen's wallet, he's able to recharge Nitro right away. So after breaking that safe pallet over at the bottom of the map, he would have been able to cut up pretty fast. But I'm not sure. Maybe
Oh,
you
and
guys
they
decided they were
catch the
not around.
reset.
Wow, and they were
That
not
is
looking around.
that is incredibly unlucky for Vicinal, I believe, as they are caught in the middle of the reset, but they did manage to pop it. So they are going to be able to extend this chase out a bit longer. As I believe we are going to see the down on G-Bot.
Yeah, Jibo doing a great job over here, unable to catch on to that last mind game there by Proxer. Proxer being able to crouch, hiding his red stain, and Lara not able to react in time. But still, still at 5 gens. Proxer still doing well. Now, of course, Ace is no longer in danger. All the marked exposed status has been completely cleared out. So Proxer now is probably gonna focus on the 3 gen over here.
And something I did note is we do see the pain res pop onto G-Bot as he goes back towards main and checks that gen, gets exposed, and is now now his terror radius is known for all to hear.
Yeah, and we do to get another chase here onto Adam, but Proxer deciding not to follow up. Proxer is gonna continue the chase onto Gbot, which makes sense. Proxer's goal here is gonna be to get the tunnel out as fast as he can. Getting Gbot out of the game will put the survivors in a very stressful situation, having to repair all the gens without another survivor. But we do see the first pop, so that's good, and it's part of the kind of a 4 gen here on the top side of the map. So Proxer might need to rethink his strategy. Might need to focus maybe on the top side of the map. Typically, the tiles here are not super safe as opposed to the bottom, which we see god pallets at the bottom part, which is where some of the chases started. But now I think I'm sorry, Proxer will have to rethink some of the strategy. I think as he gets revealed as well.
Yeah, and we do see them from a very interesting point inside this main room on the second level of it, which is known for being incredibly hard to to loop as killer because it is a really good tile. But we see that Ada actually takes it away from main, which makes me think that they are going to have somebody walking that top side.
Yeah, and Proxer is able to get almost 50% onto Ada, so he's saving some of these stocks for later, which is really smart, I would say. Also letting Ruin do some of the work, but Lara gets 100%, which is Gbot here. And
And down.
unfortunately, yes, and I think the second add-on that Ghostface has here, which is the drop leg knife sheath, that's a hard thing to say. Gets him 10% haste after marking a survivor, so that is huge. But we do see another gen.
Yeah, and I do believe that was topside too that popped.
Yes, and
If
now we don't have a 3 gen anymore, at least not on the top side, so that might be a little difficult here for Proxer. But he did get a second down onto Lara, so Gbot is the target from now on to get out of the game so that Proxer has an easier time playing against the all the rest of the survivors.
and it seems like uh G0 had a bit of a hard time revealing Ghostface there, which I do know that a lot of times revealing Ghostface can be a bit hard, especially if you're playing on console or something similar.
Yes, and the positioning of your camera when revealing Ghostface is always been tricky, and I think maybe Adam there just wasn't able to do that, or just behavior things, right? And Ghostface's reveal mechanic being a little messed up.
Yeah, the behavior is going to do what behavior does best, I suppose. And we do see the down on Gbot. That should be a kill at 2 gens.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, that was a hit through the pallet. And what we do get a
oh no,
save? Oh
you hate
my.
from the killer side, you hate to see it, but from the survivor side, there is almost nothing as hype as getting that save.
Yeah, and this is going to extend the chase even longer with Adam here taking potentially a hit, but Adam is also close to being exposed. Oh, and he's not able to
Oh,
get it. Oh
yes. It
no.
seems like he was going for it, but just barely missed the timing for it.
Yeah, I think he was scared that he was not gonna be able to do it in time. He didn't press his expose or his mark button for long enough and unable to do it. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and at this point, we do see that they are on last gen currently.
And
So
that
I
happened
this
so fast.
yeah, with Ghostface, you either put the pressure on or the survivor's going to take advantage of every little mistake you make.
Yeah, very efficient job here by the survivors of Vicinal. I honestly was not even aware. Like it just happened. Like I was not keeping track of the how many generators had been repaired. I was just maybe focused on too much on the chases and what Proxer was gonna do. But with the chases being taken all over the map, I think Proxer was not able to keep the pressure on some of these generators, which is unfortunate because Ruin is still up. So the survivors did not take the time to cleanse that totem, which didn't allow for Proxer to use his. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Can you help me with the name of that other perk?
Uh,
Pentimento. I'm sorry,
Pentimento,
Pentimento.
yes, yes,
Yes.
Pentimento.
Yes, so we'll see now what Proxer decides to do. All four survivors are still in the match, so that's gonna be very difficult here, I think,
Yeah,
for Proxer.
but something to note is that they are all injured. As we just saw, they are all injured and they don't seem to be resetting, which lets him gets this free hook onto Gbot and down. I mean, kill,
Yeah, so
which
Gbot, yeah, Gbot finally out of the match. but I would say the damage is done at this point. So we only have how many stages is that? Is that 5 stages so far with one kill. The map is split, so we do see one generator at the top side, kind of 11, and the rest over pretty much at 6. So that is going to be difficult for Proxer here with no mobility on Ghostface. But we do see Ace still injured, and we're getting a little bit of stock here on a couple of these survivors going down this long hallway.
Yeah, we do manage to get the stalk, but at this point, I am a bit worried that one of them is walking a gen here because all it takes is one gen popping and oh, but we do get the free, but we do find Adam. Probably going for the head-on play if I was to make a guess.
Yeah, that's potentially what he wanted to do, but unable to do so, at least so at this point. So Adam, green zero here, able to get away. Ruin is still up, so maybe Proxer is able to get me maybe I don't know a few more stages. I misspoke. It's actually 4 stages. My
Ooh,
eyesight is it's not great.
and the lucky find on Ada, which we know uh, just a few seconds ago was reset, most likely by uh, Jay. And we do know, I believe, that almost all the gens here do not have much progress unless they've been doubled since we've last seen them.
Yeah, and I think now Vicinal is starting to think, well, like we're in a good spot. Let's try to calm down. Let's try to play this a little slower than we did because it is kind of like so far it's been a pretty fast-paced Ghostface match. Typically we don't see those in comp. Especially in this map, Lyris.
Mhm.
Ghostface matches are very methodical, very you calculate when you decide to stick to gens. There's a lot of communication between the survivors. A lot of survivors decide to not do anything until someone has eyes on Ghostface.
And we do see a beautiful body block by Ada there. Because with Ghostface, one of the biggest techs he has is if you think you are close to, if you do think you have a bit of stock built up, then taking a hit is a great way to get rid of that if you think you have a sizable chunk of it. Because then the Ghostface is either forced to wait out power or to hit you and waste all that time stalking.
Yeah, great strategy there by Ada, resetting their stock, and now having to force Ghostface to drop the chase because we don't have eyes on Ace, and Ace is probably just progressing this generator, but that seems to be the case. Ruin now is regressing it, however. Ace is probably left already. I think communication is key when it comes to playing against Ghostface in this map. So either Ada or Adam probably gave him the call out. Hey, he left the bottom part of the map. We don't know where he
But we
is.
do see blood splotches. And we do find the Ada and manage to get the and Ada manages to get the reveal on Ghostface as he immediately drops Chase to go and patrol this very spread out 3 gen. If
Yeah,
you can
yeah. Now it's gonna be a very slow game, I think, till the end. I'm surprised that Adam and Ada have not reset yet. They're probably doubling the other gen. Now Ace has intel on where Ghostface is, and he does get exposed, and
I
he
do
loses
think
the
this is
mind game
a
as
down.
well.
Yeah, this is a downhill on Ace, and I believe this is a fresh hook if I remember correctly, which is huge at this point of the game where every second of gen progress matters.
Yes, it is a fresh hook indeed, and now we have another stack of Painres used. So that is great for Proxer. Proxer is able to breathe a little bit, get in that regression. And now we see the full reset on Adam and Ada. And we'll see what they decide to do here. Well, we do get a pretty fast save, I'm gonna say. Probably someone is watching Ghostface from a corner where he's not able to see. So now probably the reset is gonna come onto Ace, and now we're back to square one. we'll have to see who we find here first.
Yeah, for sure. And it does seem we find the Ada during the chase. And Ghosty manages to get the hit on Ada after a medium vault.
Now we don't
It
have a lot of pallets here left. I think all the safe pallets have been used here on the bottom, but Ada doing a great job using the windows here. We do have another filler pallet here, and he's not able to
oh,
connect.
it was
Wow.
close, but no cigar. And we do see the stun from Ada and then the vault. But
Wow.
this tile is mind gameable. And we do see the mind game come into play as Ada goes down. The other fresh hook.
Yeah, you're right. So Ada is the last fresh. So now we're gonna, if this is a pain risk, we're going to get some value out of it, and
And
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah. So great recovery from Proxer, to be honest. Like I didn't expect that the last three gens, especially with the spread that Proxer has now, it was gonna be. I honestly thought that it was gonna be hard
And
to
he
do it.
and I think this is game point right here. With both of them being found doubling and this not really being a good position for Adam.
Yeah, I think like you say, you know, we don't have a lot of resources left. We're still on the top side, and yeah, I think Adam just realized this is GG's 4K1 here for Proxer. Great comeback by Proxer. Very well played. Of course, Vicinal did a great job getting a lot of pressure onto Proxer early on. So 4K1 is not, it's a good win con for Overcome when they play Survivor. You know, there's been all kinds of range of win cons set for Ghostface matches. You know, we've seen especially here with some of the teams that play at this level. You know, 4K3, 4K2. So we'll see what Overcome can do when they play Survivor.
Yeah, Ghostface alongside a lot of those other stealth killers have a good variety in their win cons. So I am very excited to see how Vicinal Vicinal plays alongside Overcome in this next match.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup between Overcome and Vicinal. We have Vicinal now playing Killer and Overcome playing Survivor. This is match 2 of set number 1. I am Robot alongside my co-caster Dark Mooney. Dark, what do you think, based on the win condition that we have established now for Vicinal of a 4K2, what do you think we're going to see this match?
If I have to be honest, I think we're gonna see a lot of the same. Uh, I mean, we already see the same add-ons and the same blocks being brought, which, I mean, with Ghostface, there is not much variety you can do while still being viable. But I mean, if nothing's wrong, don't fix it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Gbot here is we're starting the match similar to how the first match started. You know, Gbot able to get pretty much 99% here onto Proxer and leaving them because they're revealed, so they don't want to get a hit on them. And lose all that progression on their stock, on their exposed marked status. So we're gonna see Gbot here coming on the top. We see Ruin already, regressing some of these gens. It's a similar setup as well. We do find Claudette here. Claudette
Yeah.
able to reveal Gbot, so Claudette is gonna take the chases down at the bottom, which is very typical for this type of match. The
Mhm.
bottom part of the map is very safe. So we'll see what Gbot decides to do. If he
Yeah.
decides to stick to it or what.
And another thing about them taking it bot is that bot seems to be where they want to take chases because I believe topside has a decent gen spread, I think, compared to bot. So bot, while being safer, is also going to be probably the gens they pop first and foremost.
That's right, and then we do see Gbot able to get the stock onto Proxer, but Proxer still has a lot of resources here. We see Gap pallet has been dropped, and this other strong pallet here by the long hallway. So Gbot is getting rid of this resources pretty early, and no gens have popped. However, Proxer is able, because of all the resources that have been used, Proxer is able to get away with it. And now Proxer, of course, is going to continue pressing the gens on the bottom. But now Gbot is getting a good amount of stock here onto Adam. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, Gbot is kind of spreading the pressure a little bit. You know, he has a semi-good setup here in the bottom and a semi-good spread on the top as well. So I think he's deciding that the bottom part is where he wants to focus, at least for now.
Yeah, and we do see that he manages to get a really good chunk of Stalk onto this Claudette. And he doesn't decide to go for the reveal onto this Claudette, trying to, I'm assuming, mind game using his drop leg sheath. But Claudette is playing her check spots here and forcing Gbot to break this pallet and just commit to the chase now.
Yeah,
And
Claudette now doesn't have it much. Oh well, this gap palette is still up. I wasn't sure if this was still up, but Claudette able to waste a little time and forcing Gbot to maybe leave her again. I think stock is about 50%, but
But we do. Oh, and instead of trying to go for the reveal, he decides to just go for the M1 onto Adam. And something that a lot of Ghostface players can fall into is over relying too much on Stalk to the point where you don't commit to M1s. Even I've had this problem as a Ghostface main before. And he does manage to get the down on Adam, too, regardless of the fact that he had an M1 for it. And I think this is going to be forced hook, though, at 3 gens, which is a bad sign for Vicinal. As... Yeah. Oh, overcome, my bad. Right?
yeah. So now at one stage at 3 gens left. Of course, we don't know what the status of the rest of the gens are or is. So we can definitively say that this is the worst case scenario here for Gbot. He does have intel on where Claudette is, with a little bit of stock onto her. Also, Ada here attempting to get the reveal and is able to do that at the cost of a little over 50% of the mark status. So very interesting game so far. I think Gbot is probably gonna have to try to commit and to get one of the survivors out, kind of what Proxer was trying to do. Since of course the win con is 4K2, so if survivors are able to repair one more generator, then Gbot will still be able to maybe get the win con. But of course 4K1 is the tie condition, so not all
Yeah.
not all is lost yet.
Yeah, and this is another fresh hook on the Claudette and another usage of pain res, but a gen does pop. And it does make me wonder, how is Gbot going to secure that win con of 2K4? Because otherwise we go to this is a tie. And I think Gbot really needs to secure that 2K4.
Yeah, the it's going to be tough for sure, but we saw also Proxer the previous match able to recover after getting all pretty much 4 generators completed with all survivors still left in the match, and then was able to spread the pressure. Ruin was still up. Survivors deciding not to cleanse it, most likely because they suspect that Pentimento is behind it, so they don't want to deal with having to cleanse both hexes, and think that they can pressure the generators enough that they don't have to do that. And we get an exposed here onto Ada, but maybe I don't think Gbot wanted to go that far here. Unfortunately, I think he wanted to save it a little bit, but that also is not all bad. I think Ada now has to play safe, so Gbot decides to just come back to the bottom part here and try to pressure some of these gens.
Yeah, especially at 4K, especially at 2 gens left. He is, at this point, playing for WinCon. Or at least, at the very least, he is playing for Tycon. And we do see the reset onto someone. I didn't quite see that. But, oh, we find the Atom! And I think this may end up being a down depending on how well Adam can loot this main room.
Yeah, the main room is for sure relatively strong. That filler palette there, even though it doesn't look was very safe when you see it at first. Depending on how you play it, which Adam played it there great. That's the way you want to do it. You want to pre-drop it and instantly start running.
Yeah, and I think Ghost Gbot here is just trying to commit to trying and getting as much pressure as possible, which is why you don't see him committing to many of his chases. He stalls. Even though he gets the stalk on Claudette just to M1. Interesting play there, but I am interested to see if it plays off in the end.
Yeah, and we're in a similar situation now. We're for sure playing for the tie condition. The win condition is not a choice, is not a possibility here for Gbot anymore. All survivors are still alive. We have only Claudette being being injured, and only 2 stages at this point with
And
one generator left.
yeah, and we see Ruin is cleansed at 1 gen left. I think now his main goal is trying to get that pin. And he gets the free hit onto Trox, I believe.
Yes, that was Proxer here taking the chase. Probably top side, going back to the main room here. As a filler palette, decides not to use it and greets it, and that actually helps. Which because Colette now is here, and that chase continues now, and Colette maybe is going to probably stay on the top side as well, trying to get Gbot away from all these generators.
And we catch Adam in library, which is pretty good for Gbot, if I do have to be honest here, because he catches him inside his Legion, but Gbot takes it towards main and top, which he cannot afford to commit chases there with Tycon on the line. He has to go on this gen spread or risk losing this matchup for his team. As we see him go back to check that gen by that corner yet again.
Yeah, not a lot of progress here on this generator. A dry kick, of course, only for Gbot, as he doesn't have any eruption or pop or anything available. Still with two stacks of pain res, and he not able to get that hit onto Rain, but continues the chase. I think at some point Gbot's gonna have to commit to one of these chases. I think I think unfortunately for him, the Pentimento totem is all the way to the top. Oh,
and we see it down on Prox, which could be especially. Does he go for the slug on to Prox? No. Oh, I think he was just checking the surrounding area for any potential pallet or flashbang saves, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right, and this is a pain risk hook, so that gives him a little bit of regression. I'm not sure how much regression, how much progress these generators had, so I'm not sure that was a huge value. But of course, you don't want to leave any pain risk hooks on the table at the end of the match. So of course, you have to take what you get. So we see the game going to another slow pace, basically similar to what we saw in the first match as well. So now survivors deciding to play it very slowly. Gbot making just getting all these tags and potentially trying to get some of these survivors out of place so that he can create more pressure for the survivors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, I think we are seeing kind of a repeat of last game, because at this point, Vicinal, I believe, wants to just get that last gen pop no matter what, because they want to secure that win con. And it's going to be a lot of playing slow, a lot of trying to prevent stages, playing as slow as... And we see the flashlight save from Prox.
Wow, I was not expecting that, to be honest with you. I figured that Claudette was around to take that hit tank and was successfully done. Well, actually no, because Ada went down, but we had Rain here with the flashlight, able to get the flashlight save. So the survivors playing it really well, being very altruistic, and that paying off. So now potentially Adam, who which we haven't seen in a while, is pressuring at least one of these generators. Um,
Yeah, and I think this was the gen that Adam was pressuring, as we do see a kick on that, but we don't seem to find Adam. Oh, I think I may have spoke a bit too soon, as I believe that was Adam we saw, and my suspicions are confirmed as Gbot finds him and does try to get a bit of stalk on him. Though I do have to wonder if it is not worth it just to commit to the M1 at this point instead of trying to build up this stalk.
Yeah, Adam doing a great job avoiding getting a lot of stock on him, close to 50%, but using all the structures around Leary's, all the corners that, a lot of times are helpful to Ghostface, but in this case, Adam turned the table around and was able to use that against Ghostface. So great job there by Adam.
Yeah, and we do see a bit more stalk come onto the Claudette here as Gbot does play this as slow as the survivor is realizing that he just needs to build up that pressure and while keeping the pressure on those gens. As we do see the M1 come on to Ada, forcing set or play it injured, which I do think they are going to reset.
Yeah, kind of, taking a little bit of, taking his time, keeping the pressure on survivors, having to reset, which, having to come all the way up here to this part of the map allows him to get that first well, the only Pentimento stack that he's gonna be able to get. But that actually helps a lot because now I believe it's 30% extra time that generators are gonna have to that survivors are gonna have to take to complete the generator. So every bit of help that Gbot can get will certainly be welcomed.
Yes, and we do see the sneaky reveal by Prox here as Gbot makes his daily rounds around the three gens he has. Instead
Yeah,
decides, and he has the 99 almost onto Adam, which I think is going to come into play later as we've seen them having to getting caught off gens quite a bit this game.
yeah, you're right. That's great on Gbot's part. Adam now is gonna have to, is on my assumption. Oh, but we see the
And
last
that is
generator
Ty
completed.
and Tycon slips through Gbot's hands. You hate to
Yes.
see it, but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So at this point, Gbot is, and the survivors. Wow, and we got already someone, great comms by the survivors here because we already have a door open. So we're gonna have quite a few outs, I would say, because Gbot is just gonna potentially have this last chase here on with Rain, and that is going to be everything. I don't foresee any more chases. We already see that the rest of the survivors leave the trial. So yeah,
Yep.
so
And we see a 5 stage here.
so
But
Overcome will
really,
take this.
yes, Overcome takes the set, but both teams played incredibly well this match. I like to say with a lot of these lower tier killers, one mistake can cost you the entire game. And sometimes, like I said, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
That's right. So we'll be back here in a few minutes with the next set, which will be Oni in Cold Tower 1. We'll be right back. All right, well, hello everyone, and welcome back to this Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup between Overcome and Vicinal. This is match 1 of set number 2, and we have Vicinal playing Oni first in Cold Tower. We did have a little bit of housekeeping behind the scenes. We took a little bit longer to restart the match because one of the survivors from Overcome unfortunately missed an offering, which then translates into half a hook stage penalty, meaning that if there is a Tycon at the end of this set, then of course if Vicinal doesn't have, oh, I'm sorry, Overcome, I'm sorry, Vicinal doesn't have another or a penalty of a half a hook stage, then we won't have a tie condition. But Regardless, we start the match here with Gbot playing Oni, and I am Robot alongside with Dark Moon here. And Dark, what do you think after what we've seen? We already saw one set. Gbot also playing Killer for Vicinal in the Ghostface setup. What do you think we're gonna see this match here?
Well, something I'm already seeing here is that Gbot did manage to get the Orly down, which with Oni is very important. And we do see that they go for the flashlight save again, but Gbot is not forward twice, and he does manage to avoid it. Then we also see that 6 has an active gen on it as well, which allows Oni to set up his eruption pretty early and get that chain going. Alongside Painres, Corrupt, and I believe Shroud Control, if I'm remembering that correct. Which
You
I
are
think is
correct.
going to be a, which I think is going to be a, which means I think we're going to see a very aggressive Oni here tonight from Gbot.
Yeah, and survivors are also pretty aggressively working on these gens. We did see corrupt, but of course it's now not over. I mean, it's of course over now because we have a down survivor. But like you said, getting I think we didn't we were not able to, or I was not able to like catch up with what was happening in the game, just explaining what we have to do behind the scenes. But only having his power this early, this fast, with one
Mhm.
down, with a good setup here. We have, a lot of gen regression with eruption and pain res, and in power. Now it's pretty great here for Gbot. It's looking really great. Now we see also that Cheryl, I think it was Cheryl, the survivor that was hooked, is already in stage 2 and only still in power, able to get back here down to the bottom part of the map and potentially able to get the tunnel out fairly quickly.
Yeah, and that is huge in a game like this, where, especially against Oni, where at times it can be incredibly hard to secure that gen pressure. A tunnel out this early, especially at 5 gens for almost any killer in any survivor team, is usually a incredibly bad sign and usually means you're going to end up playing for a 4K2 or even a 4K1.
Yeah, and now we see unfortunately the tunnel out for Overcome. Great for Gbot, of course. And now able to get the hook here in the middle, which is going to interrupt the progression on this generator, which we see had a lot of progress. It's 4 pistons moving, and I think there were 2 people working on this. So now it's looking pretty bad, to be honest with you, for Overcome. But we've seen similar situations in the past where survivors end up in a very difficult situation and are able to recover. So I'm excited to see what happens here. And as Gbot we see is able to get into power.
Yeah, with power, this is huge, especially finding the atom and all off. Well, the one eruption. I'm a bit bad at counting, mind you. But we do see the down onto Adam, which is huge. Which means now he has another hook to guard with about his power halfway. I think Gbot is not in a bad position whatsoever. As we then again we see another survivor working that gen around 10. With I believe an easy hit. Ooh. He does manage to get the stun on Godrock though, as he takes it away from the hook. Probably setting up for Proxy to try and get that save onto Milton.
Yeah, and it's still not a great situation. We do see that all the orbs are mainly on the bottom side, so that is a little bit of good news for the survivors, because that means that Gbot has to come all the way down here to get his power. But it's still we have 2 survivors injured, so that means that now he's gonna get some blood orbs at the top, and with the add-ons that he has, one of them being Splinter Hall, that increases the frequency survivors drop blood orbs. So that is great now for Gbot, because survivors don't seem to be resetting, at least at this point. Which there's a certain point when you're going against an Oni that resetting really doesn't make sense anymore. That's a waste of time because there's enough blood orbs for Gbot to just continue to get his power, and resetting is not really going to help that much. So I think the survivors have opted to just pressure generators as much as they can, given that there are one player down already with four generators still remaining.
And we are seeing some nice flicks from Gbot here, which do manage to secure him a down on proxy, which he does take instead of trying to greet another down with his power. However, point of Oni's power is if you do pick up a survival early, it does keep your blood rage, blood fury built up still. And even if it didn't, he still has enough blood on in play to probably get his power another one or two times. And as we see it now, he does manage to get his power as I think he does look for another survivor to chase before activating it.
Yeah, and that's very well played, honestly, because a lot of times, well, depending on the situation, of course, Gbot here is in control. So he decides when to pop power. Once he has a secure, or once he has secured locating a survivor. Like in this case, I think Milton is the one that's been spotted over here. Gbot doesn't have to, panically get into power, trying to find survivors. He's not in a lot of pressure. Survivors are able to complete another generator, so that is good on their side. But, one survivor injured. Claudette still around, but not able to get on gens. And now we see the down all to Milton here. So, most likely Gbot here is going to get another down before another generator pops.
And I think we are going to see, we could potentially see another down onto Prox, which would, in my opinion, secure Gbot the game at 4K3, maybe even 4K2, depending on how aggressive. And no, he decides to go for the pickup, but he still knows Prox's general location, which I think could prove to be their downfall. And he decides to go and check that gen, which I think is a smart move, because we do know that I think Claudette was found around there. And yep, it does seem like he had the right idea, chasing Claudette off that gen.
Yeah, you're right. And the spikes that we see on the generators tell us that these two, the one here, they're kind of in the middle of the map, and this one here at the bottom, are the only two that seem to have a lot of progress, because they're the ones that have been regressing with pain res and with eruption. So they still have a few gen regression events, but that means that I don't think the survivors have much more progress than what we see right here. And Claudette here playing, I think that was a balance landing play, but
Ooh.
unable to get away. So we do hear the thunder type sound and distance, meaning that more gen regression onto the generators here on the top side.
And I do believe this is a fresh hook, yes. So we do see that last stick of pain, which I think is really important for this point of the game, where he is trying to just to secure that 4K3. But if I was, I believe, if I was Team Overcome, I think I would be doubling this gen right here, and I may be right. Ooh, I don't think so, because they got the save, didn't they?
Yeah, but potentially we do see scratch marks here on the top, so I think they're trying to split here the pressure. But Gbot is really in a commanding position now, with another down and another eruption. So now being able to see the aura of the survivor, which is great. Now I think Gbot is just going to commit to this and try to get a second quick down.
Yeah, I think we could even see the 3-man slug. Ooh, hitboxes. Most DBD killers.
How did that miss?
Hitboxes.
Crazy.
But yeah, we have seen a lot of crazy flicks from Gbot today, which if Overcome's killer is anything like this, tonight is going to be an amazing night for Onis, folks. Seeing flicks right, left and right.
Yeah, and we do have quite a bit of gen regression events onto at least 3 generators. So not quite blocked yet, but we're getting to that point. Which at this point, honestly, for Gbot, it's not that big of a deal. He's 4K3. He's actually, if I have to say, if I were to say it, he's playing pretty nicely, honestly. Like he's letting survivors actually get the unhooks, which is he has to go and get the eruption onto. Well, as we see another down here onto Proxer and still in power, still about 50% left, and deciding to come and pressure more of the gens. But what I was saying was, survivors are still able to get some of these unhooks. But it's because Gbot is, just has the luxury of being able to go around the map in power with so many blood orbs around. So I think, I would be surprised, to be honest, if another generator pops.
And we see the run onto the Claudette as we have two people down and one injured. This is, like you said, this is Gbot is living the life of luxury with enough blood to get his power up 2 or 3 times. And with both of them injured and a lot of these generation events happening, like you said, Gbot is pretty secure here in my opinion. Maybe we see Team Overcome get a gen popped through. No, I think we see a 4K3 here.
Yeah, unless Proxer here has a killer chase. He does have a pallet here. Is relatively safe. He's probably not going to. Yeah, not gonna play around. He's just gonna drop it right away. Um, but it buys a little bit of time. I'm not sure. We'll have to see here what Milton has been able to accomplish. Only 2 pistons, I think, moving over here, so not great. We do see a lot of blood orbs around the map. Oh, we do see another.
Oh, we do
Wow,
see the 4K2. Could
that
they?
is great.
Could we possibly even see a 4K1 possibly from Overcome?
I ate my words. Overcome able to complete that generator. I guess I didn't really see how much progression was there on that bottom generator, but very well done here by Overcome. So 4K2, which is I would say fairly typical for an Oni set. And of course this is Vicinal's choice. So they chose to play Oni first. So we'll see. We'll see what Overcome is able to do playing Killer.
And we do see the basement locker. Really good game from both sides here, with Gbot getting a lot of good flicks and a lot of good chases as Oni and Overcome putting on the pressure, even managing to squeeze out one extra gen from which could have well been a 4K3.
Yeah, that was great. Great on Overcome. Able to they were one survivor down at 4 generators with Oni with a lot of blowovers around the map. So being able to recover from that is great. So now we'll have to see what Overcome is able to do. Now, of course, Gbot still has to find Milton. At this point, it doesn't really matter if Milton bleeds out. All survivors have been hooked, so all accounted for. Gbot is
And
going to come over and close the hatch.
theoretically, we can see theoretically, we could have seen an adrenaline play there, but it does not seem that Milton has that, as he activates his Demon Rush and just looks around for any location where Milton could be.
Yeah, and I think Milton at this point is not trying to hide, because it doesn't really matter for the outcome of the game whether he bleeds out or is hooked. So I think that's why Milton is just out in the open, um, you know, potentially allowing Gbot to go and find them. And as we see, Gbot just making a tour out of the CT1, so everyone enjoy that as well. And something that I want to point out that you mentioned, the flicks that we saw from Gbot in this match were great. Like, I would be curious to see what his DPI is in his mouse, all the setup that he has, because he really looked like a very experienced Oni, knowing where to find survivors, great game sense and great mechanics as well.
Mhm. Yeah, especially after seeing the performance on Ghostface, which, while still good, was a bit, I wouldn't say inexperienced, but it does seem like Ghostface probably was not his main, especially with how well he was playing this Oni set. And Milton over here is trying their best to be found, just crawling in the mid map.
Yeah, Milton's like, "Hey, Oni, I'm over here." Okay, so he was able to find him. And something to point out here is that now Overcome has to get a 4K3 to win this set because of that penalty they had, half a hook stage for that map offering that was missed. So that is going to be, of course, unless Vicinal also gets a penalty. That half a hook stage will make Overcome have to get a 4K3 to win. So we will come back here in just a few minutes with the second game of this set. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup between Overcome and Vicinal. This is match 2 of set number 2, and we have Overcome playing Killer this time. I am Robot alongside my co-caster Dark Moon, and we have an interesting win condition here because of that penalty that Overcome had when they played Survivor just before this match. So they have a hook stage. So now the win condition for Milton here, which starts the chase here with Ada, is a 4K3. So Dark, what do you think we're gonna see here with this very difficult win condition?
Um, Honestly, this is really difficult for, uh, shoot, I'm getting my names confused. Oh, dear lord. But
Slasher, Milton.
yeah, I think this is a very difficult win condition for K3, but I do think it is Pos. Ooh, I don't know. I think it's going to take a lot of skill and a lot of luck in order to secure that win con. So, oh, we do see the head-on play though. That does not manage to make it though, and those two only hits allows him to get power fairly only with a lot of only game pressure with that power. However, we do see another gen pop during these first few chases. One more gen pops, and that's WinCon slipped from their fingers.
Yeah, and Milton is not doing a bad job honestly with that flick. That was very good. Um, and, like you said, two survivors very early being injured, which is gonna allow Milton to get a lot of blood orbs because he's also using the same add-ons that Gbot was using. So good stuff for Milton here. But survivors quickly just probably just double the gen, and were able to put themselves in a good position here. So Milton now is gonna have to walk around the map, try to gather some of these blood orbs. I'm not sure that there's enough for Milton to comfortably get his power on without having to move away from the hook here too far, which that seems to be the case. Now he's gonna have to play around this area here and with no power. So it's gonna be tough for sure. We'll see what Milton's able to pull off here.
Yeah, I think they have a chance certainly, but it is like I said, it's going to be really tough. If even one gen pops, uh, then that is game point for I believe Vicinal.
Yeah, and the chase continues here. Milton is able to get his power, because all the blood orbs are here on the bottom side. Milton deciding to go into his power with Renato here, but Renato able to get away with it. Well,
And we see
another
another head
failed.
on.
Yeah, Renato not able to get value out of head on here, unfortunately, but it's a good try. So Milton now is gonna get a second hook stage here, and gonna get a little bit of no, just two stages on Grease Zero. He was the first, it was a fresh hook before, so no value from Pain Risk here.
Yeah, and we see that main building has some pretty good uh Stuff has some pretty good progress on it as we see the unhook and we see a Jin pop. That is win.
So a little bit of a correction here. So they need to pop one more gen though. So
Oh,
the win condition for Milton is 4K3. But so now, he Milton cannot allow another generator to be popped, which is gonna be difficult because that this split. Oh, and there it is. That
yeah,
is
that's
that is
it.
the win con. That is
Though I
it.
thought,
So
though, didn't Overcome have that penalty? No, that was Vicinal that had that penalty, wasn't it?
no, it was Overcome. So Overcome is playing now, so they're the ones that could not allow. Um, yeah. So no tie condition
Okay.
now. Yeah. So Vicinal now able to get another
And we see
left
another
attempt.
failed head on. You do not you hate to see it for Gree Zero, but like I said, cookie crumbles sometimes. But I
Yeah.
think now Milton is just playing for best result, which no shame in doing that if you have such a steep win con such as 3K4. I mean 4K3.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. That's the advantage of playing second, in your sets because, or I guess not playing second necessarily, but playing with a known win condition because then you can your strategy is a little different. You know what you need to do. You know that you need to stick to gens, which is what Vicinal did this match. And for Milton, it's just difficult because then you get overwhelmed a little bit sometimes. Not able to down survivors fast enough, which, to be honest with you, Milton was doing a great job. Two survivors injured very early on, one down. Gen regression was there. Unfortunately, it was just not fast enough, and with the condition that Overcome had set, for on the previous match, it was just difficult for Milton. But very well played. We, like you said, we already have one survivor out, so it's a 3v1 condition now, a 3v1 um, set now for the survivor team of Vicinal. So they'll play it. We have a good split. Oh, and we find Ace here just hiding
Yeah,
around the corner.
a good attempt by Ace, but sadly not enough as we do down. And yeah, it does make you wonder if Overcome had played Forced, had killed Forced, if we might have seen a different game here. If Milton didn't have that pressure of 3K4 looming over his head, we have maybe seen Overcome maybe manage themselves a 2K or a 3K. I mean a 4K 3 4K 2. My bad.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Milton's just going around trying to get
Some clips.
some chases done, some good practice. Of course, this was Vicinal's killer, um, with choosing Oni, and so it is not surprising that Gwat was able to get such a good win condition for his team. I'm sure that the survivors screaming against him all the time. He gives them all the tips, all the things that they can do, what not to do as well, and it's just it was just a good set for Vicinal this time.
Yeah, I do have to agree. There was a lot of good stuff again from both teams. Both teams played really good, but there was just a lot of early downs and stuff that Vicinal managed to take advantage of to bring back, bring it to a 1-1. So I do believe we are going to see a Wesco tiebreaker, which I'm super excited for.
Wow, that was a good flick here by Milton. So we're seeing, like you said, we're seeing some good stuff here. And so now Jake is the last fresh hook. So we do see now that Milton is coming over here, probably a pain risk hook to try to get his. How to, yeah, that's it. So that's the last stack, and all gen regression is gone essentially. Not sure. I don't remember. No, ruin is still up. So ruin is still doing a little bit of work. We do have a pretty good split of generators here for the survivor team.
And we
Good
do see
there.
that flick onto Ace. Well, it really wasn't that much of a flick, but we still see him playing around the little fire as we see the last chase onto the second to last chase onto Jake, I'd say.
Yeah, Jake doing a great job here. He's gonna
And we see
cancel the
Luck.
power. Yeah, at this point, Jake just doesn't want Milton to continue the slug party. So Jake deciding to just jump into a locker, knowing that he didn't really have any more resources to use. Still has a hook stage to give, so it's not the end of the world for him, and allows for Ace and Ada to pick each other up, and or well, actually Ada picking up Ace. So now we just we'll see how this tile is played here by Ada.
Yeah, for sure. And we see Oni trying to kind of mind game around it, trying to catch Ada off guard with fancy flicks and fancy moves. But he does end up just breaking the pallet and tries to zone Ada and zones Ada towards main. But he's just breaking these pallets as she drops them.
Yeah, and Ada does have the window here, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately for Milton, at
Oh!
least.
Yeah, and we do see Ada try to go for the sneaky blind, but it does not pay off as she goes down right before power. And we also see the ruinous cleanse as well.
That's right, and there's no more gen regression now. All of the perks have been used. No pentimento in this case for Milton, so no eruption, no pop. So this is going to be just a dry kick onto the generator by Shaq, and Milton is just gonna start getting some blood orbs, get his power back up. We do see some scratch marks here, so and some blood pools. So there's a survivor here around Shaq, but Milton is not interested on that. I think he suspects another survivor is probably working on the top side, but actually no, we do see a save here. Ada just standing around because they have endurance. Wow, that I did not see Jake there, so that is very good vision there by Milton. Able to get that flick onto Jake. So slug party continues. Now we have only Ace and Ada up. We'll see what they decide to do. Well, unfortunately, Ace is found here, trying to potentially going. My guess is that he was just standing around trying to get Jake back up, but he goes down, and good game sense there by Milton going around the water tower. But we do see Jake getting up again. Unfortunately, no endurance. After being up there. So Ada is going to be the last chase. I don't foresee Ada able to get any of the unhooks or getting the unhook or another, or picking up Jake again. So
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and that's it. That is the 4K1 by Milton. Not a bad result whatsoever, just not the result they needed for WinCon. As see that Ada is brought to the basement.
and now we only have Jake, which we see the grunts of pain here. Getting ready for a potential hatch escape, but that is not to be. Oni is right here, so Milton now is going to take the last hook onto basement, and that will be the win for Vicinal. So in this case, so this was the first match of the losers bracket. So whoever wins tonight will meet the winner of tomorrow's matchup between PSR and Silence. So now we'll have to see what happens next. So um, that is going to be it for us tonight. Hope everyone enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow with more of the tournament. As I said, PSR in silence. Um, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We do have the tie. I'm sorry.
Yes, we have the tiebreaker. I was
I'm,
questioning
I'm
my sanity
tripping.
for a little bit.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm
yeah,
tripping. I'm
but
tripping.
we still
Apologies.
have what we have one more match after this, guy. We have one more match after this, the Westcourt tiebreaker, which I think is going to be a really fun match because this was agreed on by both teams as they didn't go through the regular ban and pick phase. They just both decided Westcourt. So this is going to be a really fun match to see from Vicinal and Overcome. And
Yeah.
we'll
So
be
we'll be
back.
back. We'll be back in a few minutes. Apologies for the mix up. Yeah. We'll take a small break here, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup between Overcome and Vicinal. We are in the tiebreaker, so this is match one of set number three, and we have Overcome playing Killer first. I love a good Wesker set, so I'm excited to see this. I know, Dark, that you are a Wesker enjoyer, so what do you think we're going to be seeing here?
I think we're gonna see a lot of really cool text from both of these Westcores because Westcore has a lot of text, and we already see the first one trying to be used, a YOLO bend, which I think is a really fun little tech. But we see that he doesn't commit that force chase and instead decides to go after Anzi here. And ooh, gets stuck a bit on the collision there, missing that second lunge or bound. But he does manage to get the other one.
Yeah, able to get the infection onto Ace. Ace able to get away with balanced, and now he's gonna make it to Shaq, which is gonna be relatively safe. But of course, Wesker has that quick bound that he can use to go over the pallet, so that is not an obstacle anymore. So Prox is gonna actually bam this window over here, preparing to get another bound, but deciding not to. So just going for the M1, which misses, but is able to get the grabs instead. So well play there by Proxer, and this is a relatively quick down, to be honest with you. Now we're gonna see potentially the first pain risk hook, and that is correct. So whatever progress the survivors had on these generators here on the top side is at least regressed a little bit, which will buy a little bit of time for Proxer here.
And we do catch two survivors on that, doubling that gen. And then the other one goes for the unhook. We know the location of all these survivors. And Trox seems to be trying to take advantage of that as much as he can. As Jay manages to avoid the M1, but not for too much longer than he would have if he had just not dropped the pallet, as he takes it towards Shaq. We do see a Gen 2 pump during this chase as well.
Yeah, Jake doing a great job here. This is, I got rock usually. When the pallet is still there, you can keep good check spots. So able to play that really well. Wesker having to break the pallet, and M1 is missed. So another stun here by Jake, and now Wesker, Proxer here having to leave and having to have to, start another chase here, which is gonna be taking them to the top side as we hear another generator pop.
Yeah, we do see two gens pump with only one hook stage. But I do think we may be able to see Prox come back from this. Especially since they have managed to find that ace who is fully infected, which does give them that hindered status effect that does really help with chases. As Johnsy plays this amazingly well, but ultimately does get the down because of, I believe, that hindered status effect.
Yeah, that definitely made him move a little slower. And great patience there by Proxer. Holding the bound ready to just let go, and he's able to get the slap onto Ace. So now that is going to be the second hook stage here for Ace. and Proxer is, getting into the swing of things. Now we get a relatively fast. Oh my gosh, how did that work against
Yeah.
Wesker here? We're not able to just crouch the crouch tech onto Wesker. A new tech, I guess that you can also use, but hitboxes they're just a little bit funky sometimes. But Procs are able to continue the chase here. I'm surprised that with how fast the on-hook came onto Ace, that he was not, he didn't go for the tunnel out. It's 2 stages already onto Ace, and could have potentially get the tunnel out, but
Oh,
decided to go against it.
and we get the hit onto G0. An amazing set of bounds from Proxor right here, as he does manage to get the Fresh Hook onto G0, but it isn't a pain res, so we do see Shat pop for that. As we also know the location of, I believe, Ray. Yes. And we see another gen pop with only 3 stages on the board. This is really bad for Proxor, if I have to give my honest opinion. There isn't much pressure here for Proxor to take advantage of, especially with G being pulled off the hook. But he does manage to get the hit onto Slasher.
Yeah, and now it makes you think, like, when Proxer didn't go for that chase onto Ace to get the tunnel out after he was pretty much, unhooked, pretty close to him. I don't know if that would have changed. Of course, this is could have, should have, would have talk here, but it just makes me think, if he's able to get that out, because I think what Proxer was trying to do was trying to not let Renato finish that generator there, which as we see the
And we
last
see the
generator.
This is more than likely going to be out.
Oh, most certainly. We'll see. I see at least 2 outs. With Ada and Renato at the end of the match here. Well, actually, I thought that someone's already here at the gate. We did hear someone.
Oh, but we get the grab onto Ada, and the exit gate stays unlocked, and we may see it down onto G here. Oh, Jay, my bad. But
Wow! So this is a quite the turn of events now.
but we see the pickup, and I think that
Yeah.
is gonna be out. Oh, but they don't go to that exit gate. Instead, they go. Oh, Ada still doesn't manage to open the exit gate in time, meaning that we are gonna see more stages. At this point, Proxor is just trying to play for as many stages as possible.
Yeah, Ada lost the endurance when she touched that gate, so unable to finish. I guess we don't know exactly, if the bar of that gate is already all the way to 99. Most likely it is, but we don't know. And Proxer taking a little bit of a risk here, taking a stroll here all the way to this other gate, because the survivors, I guess, were resetting, so they were not able to get the unhook. But had they just gone for the unhook there, they could have seen even potentially everyone out.
Yeah, I still think it is 100% possible to see a double save, or maybe even a triple save. No, we're gonna try and see an attempted double save here. But Proxor is not having it, and he does not swing.
And I'm not sure what happened here.
Oh, we see the nice hit on the Bronzy there, and the last-minute save on Ada. As Proxor does try and go for the body block, but I think that haste base kit borrowed time is going to save her, unless. Ooh, yeah, that base kit borrowed time does seem to save her, and I think we may even. And we do see the whiff from Proxor, which does mean that this is only going to be a 1K.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense end game here. I think Ada had just the last little bit of endurance, of built-in endurance here after the unhook, and I was surprised. When Ace got hit, Renato did not go for the, unhook right away. Renato also decided to leave the hook, and then, he went for the And then once Proxer decided to chase Ace, then Renato came back and got the unhook. So I'm a little confused about what happened there. But regardless, we do see some stages out, and we'll see what happens here on the next matchup. So we are in the Tycoon. Just to remind everybody, this is actually still the game. This is not exhibition. My apologies. I got a little confused here at the end of the Oni match. But this is for the win. So whoever loses this will be eliminated from the tournament. So now we'll see Overcome play Survivor in the next match and Vicinal playing Killer. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this Grindhouse Massacre tournament matchup between Overcome and Vicinal. This is match 2 of set number 3, which is the tiebreaker, and we have Vicinal now playing Killer. So Gbot here with the Wesker, and alongside with me is Dark Mune. Dark, what do you think we're gonna see in this second match?
I mean, it is not a really rough win con for Vicinal here. Uh, Vicinal has a win con of, I believe 1K 7 stages, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And as Wesker, I don't think that is too hard to get unless Overcome plays absolutely godly. Ooh, and we see them window vault by Wesker accidentally as we see him drop that chase and go to patrol gens.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Gbot, unable to control that second bound. So having to drop the chase onto, onto Claudette. So Claudette not even infected at this point. So all survivors are healthy, and I eat my words now with Rain now being played by Proxer, having to get grabbed for the first time for as the first survivor. So Proxer does have a spray in his hand, so maybe he's able to get the spray during the chase, especially playing man building. Able to drop some of these resources here, and Gbot having to open some of these gates. But as you mentioned, so Gbot is, the win con here for Vicinal or for Gbot is 7 stages if he does not get all 4 fresh, but if he can get 6 stages if he's able to get all fresh hooks. So doesn't even matter if he gets a kill or not. But as we see 2 generators popping
Yeah,
so fast.
we do see 2 gens pop, which almost makes me think that this game is going to be a lot closer than we initially thought. But Wesker does, I still think, have that top region. Yeah, Wesker does have that top region still, which I think is going to be really oppressive for the Survivor team. As we see Wesker kind of camping this hook out, knowing that the earlier he can get that kill, and we see Adam go for the save, as he does manage to get the hit onto Adam pretty early for this chase, but does not commit as he goes back to patrol the top side of the map.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Gbot having a 3-gen here on top is great. However, the survivors are able to get the unhook, and relatively for free, honestly, because ideally, Gbot would have wanted to get a trade, but that did not happen, and we see another generator popping. So that's 2 generators left in the trial. Only 1 stage so far, and Gbot having to take the chase into the middle portion of the map, which is not ideal. Ideally, I think what Gbot would like to do is we see a good bound here by Gbot. So now potentially Gbot is going to have to take this hook onto the middle of the map on the top, which is great for him if he has a Penrith hook here, and that's not the case, however. So Gbot more interested in location of the hook than actually going for a Penrith. So good strategy, I think. I think hook placement a lot of times, depending on the wind condition, is more important than just going for gen regression.
And we do see the unhook here, and we see that Gbot is not able to make it, unfortunately for them, but he does pressure them off this gen that is super close to completion, as we hear and see. And this is all four survivors injured, which means we could see a comeback by Gbot, especially with Eruption here.
Yeah,
And
eruption onto the generator as well. So, like you mentioned, now that we have all four survivors injured, one M1 from Wesker will be enough to get even more gen regression onto that generator, which
and
it
we
happening
see the
right now.
down. Yeah, we see the down on to Rebecca here as Gbot takes this hook, and hopefully for them it is a painless hook. And we do see it's a painless hook, but it is not soon enough to get that gen from completing. And now we see Westgold probably having to play the 3-gen topside as we see him actually kind of proxy camp this hook since he knows that another survivor is here. How do you think this is going to play out, Robot?
Well, now Gbot is able to get Adam, so that is the fourth fresh hook. So, four fresh hooks right now, which amounts to four stages. So now Gbot only has to get two more stages to win because Overcome's killer was not able to get all four fresh, even though they got six stages. So now Gbot is two away, two more stages, and then Vicinal will take the set.
And Gbot actually gets a teeny bit greedy here, as if he had just camped out the Atom, he would have won the set, as he has all the fresh hooks. But I think, but Proxy doesn't have much to play here. And ooh, Gbot gets him with the mind game, and I think that maybe WinCon if he can just secure the second stage onto Proxy.
Well, this is very interesting now because this is the fifth hook stage. So now he only gets one more to win.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we need to get one more hook stage. So if Gbot is able to camp this and Proxer dies, then that is the win. But here's the thing too. So if another survivor comes along and tries to get the unhook, they run the risk of not being able to get the unhook.
and we find the Claudette. This may be the last hook Gbot needs in order to secure the win for Vicinal.
And Claudette goes down right by the hook. So I think this is going to be yeah, that's it. So that is okay. So Gbot probably didn't see that one hook right in front of him, but he's going to take. Probably just wants to secure more hook stages. Not allowing them to. Which is good too. Like hook placement, like we said. So Gbot seems to be very aware of that. Good game sense. Unable
And
to
we
get
do
that connection
Yeah,
though.
we see the whiff onto Adam, which I do think at this point in the game does not really matter, but we still want to try and play for the best conditions possible.
You're correct, and so Gbot is now just. We're probably gonna see Adam just go out into the hatch. But that happened so fast. So that is it. So now we have the win onto Vicinal. So Vicinal is going to win this set. And they move on to the next stage of our tournament. And they will play whoever wins tomorrow's game between PSR and Silence. But yeah, very well played by both teams, and that is going to be it. Dark, do you want to add any more word on anything else before we
Uh,
leave?
yes, both teams played absolutely bloody amazing. Even if there were some mistakes, I think both teams and all the killers involved played amazingly well, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the future sets of this tournament. And I can't wait to see if Overcome comes back for the next tournament we host, or even Scrim Nights would be awesome to see them play in.
Yeah, for sure. Great showing by both teams. Unfortunately for Overcome, they'll have to leave the tournament. We hope to see them next time, and like you said, in some of the scrim nights that we have. But Vicinal moves on, and yeah, on fresh hook. So we'll play by Gbot, we'll play by everybody else. So thank you to both teams. great tournament for Overcome, and we'll close it out. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a great night. Take care.